afternoon. Really busy in the shop. I got a lot going on, lots of projects. It's been a while since I did a video. I've just been really busy. But I'm working on a facade, a mantle type thing for a very nice lady, and you know, she bought gas logs and she wanted me to build, you know, a nice mantle type shelf and all for her. And as I'm getting into this project, I'm working on trim and things like that, and I've decided to go with a live edge on the front of the panel, or on the front of the shelf. This thing is going to be 3 1/4 inches thick, so it gives a real hefty look. I'm actually building it out of plywood, and the top layer is plywood, the bottom layer is plywood, and it has a series of 2x4 support inside it. But the front edge, I'm wanting to make like a live edge, and almost like a bark looking. So it'll make the shelf look really big and thick, and it'll look like a great big slab, hopefully, when I get done with it. So I thought you guys might be interested in seeing that, and we're going to get started on that now. So let's get started. Alright, well, we start out by ripping a 1x6, just a common board from Home Depot, down to 3 1/4 inches, which is the width I need for my shelf. And then I'm going to set my saw to about 10 to 15 degrees to remove the bulk of material to start making this thing round. I'm going to rip this side. Then I'll flip it over and rip the other. Like I say, I'm just removing the bulk of the material so I can start trying to round this thing off. I'll clamp it down to my workbench, and I'll start using just a block plane and start refining the shape a little bit and rounding over the corners, and just try to make this thing look like the edge of a log. I want to get rid of all of the flat spots and areas, and I'll just take care of that with this block plane. I love using a block plane when they're good and sharp. And make sure you cut with the grain. If you try to go against the grain, you'll just get a bunch of tear out. If you go with the grain, it just cuts really nicely. But I just continue on until I get it rounded over the way I want it. I'll keep checking with my hands and feeling for flat spots as I go, and I'll just try to remove those. Then I'll start working on the very edges. I want the edges, not to have the flat areas from where my cut was made. I need the whole thing rounded. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back with the 80 grit sandpaper and just kind of rough over all of this, the whole board, and that'll just remove any kind of marks or anything that's that's left from the block plane or the saw. I just want to kind of round over everything. I don't want anything to look machined on this. I want it to look completely random like nature. So we'll just sand the whole thing down. And see, now I've got a round board. Okay, now I'm just going to take a 1/2 inch burr and a drill extension and just start kind of carving, lines. I'll start with main primary lines and go the entire length of the board, and then I'll come back and start working on the fill-in lines that'll go, between all of those. That way I end up with no flat spots. And here I'm kind of working on some of those, and I'll just keep getting smaller and smaller lines until I'm finished. Everywhere you see a flat area, just cut it down and just work your pattern. And it'll look rough. You'll get some tear out and stuff like that, but we're going to come back and sand it again later. You can kind of see there's a little tear out in this, and that's all fine for right now. Most of that'll get burned off. I just keep making random lines and trying to take out any flat areas that I can see. I'm gonna come back with 60 grit and just kind of sand over the whole thing, taking out any of the tear out stuff like that, fuzzies, things like that, and just kind of sand over the whole thing, rather quickly. You're not trying to get a finished surface at this point. You just want to basically rough sand the whole thing. Then I'm just going to continue on sanding until I get the surface that I want. And there'll still be some fuzzies and stuff, and I'll use this to get rid of those. Just use my propane torch, and I'm gonna burn over the whole thing and just try to put some contrast in the wood, down into little grooves that I cut, and it'll also burn off the fuzzy tear out and stuff like that, and just make it look more natural. And that's about all the burning that I'll do. Always make sure you disconnect your propane can too. It's better on your regulator. Then I'm going to come back with a coat of stain, and we'll wipe that down real well with a shop towel in all the grooves and stuff real good. You don't want any of this stuff just to pool up. You want to wipe the whole thing. And voila, there's our natural edge. All right, well, there it is. How I do a live edge for some type of shelf or something like that. You could do it, whatever size you would like. You could even do it for a 3/4 inch thick edge on a bookshelf or something like that. This shelf is 3 1/4 inches tall or thick, so I made this one 3 1/4 inches. I'll just attach it with brad nails and glue, wood glue and brad nails, and we'll see how it turns out. If you've already seen it, I think I went ahead and put pictures on here. I'm not sure, but I've already finished the project, and it turned out really, really nice, and the lady really enjoyed it, and she likes it, and you know, that's the bottom line right there. So anyway, all I did after the video was I sprayed a couple of coats of satin lacquer. I just used satin lacquer on it, a couple of coats. I don't want anything shiny on it or anything like that. Just a couple of coats of satin lacquer, very low luster on it, and yeah, you know, it looks like bark. So, well, pretty much anyway. It's a lot different than what most people are used to seeing on a shelf or something, and you know, so it brings conversation, I guess, and we'll see how she likes it in the end. But I hope y'all enjoy this project, and I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see y'all on down the road.